Armor disc golfers, welcome back. Today we have a disc comparison video for you. Mainly what I wanted to be testing out is these two suckers, the Mint Discs Mustang, which we've just recently gotten our hands on, and same thing, these Mint Bobcats. Now what I've heard is that the Bobcat is pretty stable and that the Mustang is pretty straight. And so I want to compare these to my straight and stable mid-ranges, Mako 3 and a Rock 3. So I'm gonna throw some discs, gonna compare them, gonna show you results. It'll be a good time. Let's get into it. Alright, so starting off, I'm gonna be going with the Mako 3, and with these shots, I'm gonna be trying to throw them just like 75% power, a standard amount of hyzer, and I'm not throwing them as hard as I can because I don't throw mid-ranges like that. So it doesn't do any sense for me to test mid-ranges in ways that I'm never actually going to use the disc. Hello there. So you can see with the Rock 3, even at the same power, it's not like it's fading a ton, but it has clearly more fade, more finish to it than the Mako 3, which is why I like them as complementary mid-ranges. So next, I'm gonna go to the one that I think is going to be between the two of them, and that is the Mint Discs Mustang. So my initial thoughts are that the Mustang flies just like a Rock 3. I think that I might have put that one on more hyzer than the Rock 3, so I want to be fair to it and give it a couple more throws before I come up with a final evaluation. I'm not gonna give a full evaluation on disc based on one flight. I like the plastic, I like the flight, but it seems a lot like a Rock 3. It's Bobcat time. Okay, so it's always fun doing testing videos because you throw discs wildly different and you try to come to conclusions about how they fly compared to one another. So that's always difficult to do. That one was way higher than the others. But even with that, I can see it's more stable than a Mako. It seems like it's in that Rock or Mustang territory. Something about that seemed like it didn't have as much glide to me, which could be something that's really useful. But my first impressions is that it's maybe a little more stable, a little less glide than a Rock 3. Starting with the Mako again, this time I'm gonna try to throw them a little bit harder, and I want to throw them with a slight bit of hyzer, and I want to throw them straight and see how they react. But I'm not trying to hit a particular line, because if I start to think about trying to make the disc do a certain thing, then I'm gonna manipulate the disc and throw them on different angles and different powers and whatnot. So I want to just see the true flight of the disc. So if I throw this Mako, I already know, if I throw this Mako on a hyzer as hard as I can, it's gonna flip up and pan over a little bit, and it may finish flat or it may come back a little bit at the end. And even if that's not what I want it to do, I'm going to let whatever happens to the disc happen, just so we can see comparison against all the other discs. So no surprises there. The Mako flipped over and panned out to the right, never came back. Rock 3. There's a reason that people love Rock 3s, why they've been thrown for so long by so many people. That's a great mid-range. That thrown hard on hyzer, it stood up a little bit, just pushed straight forever, and then slightly faded out at the end. The Rock 3 is still a great disc. We're gonna see how it compares to a Mint Mustang. I'm dancing trying to get out of the frame of the picture. I like that disc a lot. If you like Mint discs, and particularly in the Eternal plastic, all I'm throwing right now is Eternal plastic Mustang versus Star Plastic Rock 3. Those look like the same disc to me. They have different hand feels. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But just in terms of flight, that one was a little bit lower, so I have to take that into account. And that flight looked really similar to me. You can judge for yourself. Now we have the Mint Bobcat. We're gonna see how it compares against the Mustang and the Rock 3. This should be more stable than the Mustang. Yeah, again, for some reason, I like to throw the Bobcat high. It's not you, Bobcat, it's me. Even with that, I think that it's pretty clear to see that it wants to hyzer quicker than the Rock 3 or the Mustang do. So it looks more stable. All right, so this will be the last time I throw these, and then I'll talk about the way they feel, the way they look, and all that sort of stuff. I'm gonna throw them on anhyzer this time because you don't just throw discs on hyzer every single time. Sometimes you have to do other things with them. So we're going about 75% mid-range power, putting these on anhyzer, starting with the Mako 3. I'll be the first to admit that was not much of an anhyzer. I'm gonna try to put these on. I was worried about that one cut rolling. We'll do the Rock 3 second. Eternal Plastic Mustang. So at this point, I'm just trying to be consistent in my release angle. And once again, the Mustang and the Rock 3 look like the same disc. Bobcat. I know it probably doesn't look like it, but I promise I tried to anhyzer that. The Bobcat's stable. There's something to that. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you all in the studio. All right, back in the lab now. I just want to go over real quick how the discs feel, what their profiles look like, so you can get a full picture of what we're working with here. This is a Mako 3. It's got a nice smooth rim to it. The Rock 3, nice and flat-topped, beaded as Rock 3s are. Now, what's interesting is the Mustang, this Eternal Mustang, it feels between a Rock and a Mako. If you had a beadless Rock 3, the wing looks more like a Rock 3, which makes sense because it flies like a Rock 3. It's just beadless, so if you don't like beads, then I guess that would be a good reason to choose a Mustang over a Rock 3. Eternal Plastic, if you have not felt, is sweet. This stuff is top of the line. So if you enjoy, it's more, a little more firm than this Star Plastic is. It's nice and grippy. It has a ton of grip, especially when it's new. If you've ever felt Proton Plastic by MVP, that's what this is. It feels incredible in the hand. Now, the Bobcat, again, nice and flat topped. It feels, so the Bobcat, really I think all of these discs, they have a higher shoulder than the Mako 3, so they kind of have that beefier feel to them. The Bobcat and the Mustang have very similar wings and profiles to them. Very, very similar. But the Bobcat is, as we saw in the videos, the Bobcat has, it seems like it has less glide and it's more overstable than a Mustang. So they complement each other pretty well. So that's a bit about each of these discs there. You got to see their profile, kind of how they feel in the hand. You've seen them fly. So hopefully this gave you a good idea of how to compare specifically the Mustang and the Bobcat to some discs that are more commonly known to give you a better idea of how they fly. Thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe. Go check out some of our other stuff. Let us know if you enjoy seeing disc review videos, disc comparison videos. This isn't really a review as much as a comparison. We can have more individual reviews that we'll post later on. Go more in-depth on individual discs. But appreciate y'all hanging out. See y'all in the next one.